Okay, everyone, this is my spoiler review of X-Men the Animated Series Season 3, Episode 6, The Phoenix Saga Part 4, The Starjammers. This originally came out September 8th, 1994. Hit that sub button before you do anything else so you won't miss any of my reviews of X-Men the Animated Series. I'll be reviewing everything X-Men in general, comics, toys, you name it. So you see with this episode, it's pretty simple in setup that basically the goal of this episode is for the X-Men to help Lilandra safeguard the crystal, and the crystal actually becomes the big focus point here in this episode, and you get more revealed about its powers and the dangers it possesses. And Jean literally says, "In our hands lies the fate of a billion star systems of lives beyond measure." So the stakes are ultra high in this episode. And Jean also has an important line to Cyclops where she says there will be things she will have to do alone, a little foreshadowing there, which always makes stories with Phoenix special, and how there is this cool part of her that there's things only Jean will have to face alone that really makes it interesting, and how the X-Men can support her in this. Now, when Phoenix and the X-Men go to the ship where the crystal is, we get some really fun cameos here. We get to see Captain Britain in his only appearance in the show, who is Psylocke's brother, and we get to finally see Emma Frost, one of my favorite characters. We get to see Mastermind, who I was talking about in a couple episodes ago, that I felt like Dark Xavier was using Mastermind's power, so it was cool to see him here. And we get to see Doctor Strange for the first time, which was really cool, and they all sense the Phoenix Force. Now, again, Wolverine has killer funny lines in this episode. When they land on the ship and they're all like woozy from being with Phoenix, Wolverine goes, "Next time I'll take the bus." It's those kind of lines that like separate the X-Men from me, that you have all these crazy superhero comic book moments that are really fun, but having the humor always break through with Wolverine's type of humor is always effective. I also love that Lilandra's space crew here, the two operating the ship, really have no dialogue with the X-Men. Like, all these X-Men and Phoenix come on the ship and they just kind of look at them and keep going on with what they do. And there's a great Gambit line to Rogue here when they're all looking at the crystal and he's like, "You like it, Cher? I get you one for Christmas." I thought that was great. But the X-Men then get hit by a stun ray and you think it's D'Ken, but it's actually the Starjammers. And now they're into this game and they want the crystal. But I love when they first fight the X-Men that we have really good Beast moments here, because he's fighting them at the same time. He's saying, "Interesting weaponry," and then he gets hit and he says, "Effective too." I love that. And I love that Hepzibah is just a freaking cat lady that is meowing during this, and that we get to see Rogue grab her tail. That was just a great moment. Now, where the strength of the episode lies is with Cyclops and his father, who is Corsair, and that they reveal when Cyclops is about to blast him that Jean sees in her vision it's Scott's dad, but also we see his brother for the first time. But when they get stunned again, the Starjammers now take the crystal and Cyclops, because Corsair has more plans for Cyclops, that he is a weapon that will be revealed at the end, that his plan is to take down D'Ken with Cyclops and not give D'Ken the crystal. And it's the same way where we see D'Ken, like a classic supervillain does, where he makes this deal with Corsair, but he's really planning to kill him. He's not actually going to give him all of that treasury. Now, what is important is that it is revealed that Corsair is doing this for revenge for killing his wife. And Cyclops has a great line where he's like, "Dude, like, is one woman's life important enough to risk the fate of an entire galaxy?" It really isn't. And he's like, "It was to me." So it's a very stupid decision by Corsair. Now we're talking about funny Wolverine moments. I love while the X-Men are just waiting around on the ship, Gambit's just throwing cards in a bucket, and they just show Wolverine just pacing back and forth as he's getting antsy, and then he just kicks the bucket that Gambit was throwing cards in. I thought that was great. Another important Jean moment is when she's waiting to recover from using the Phoenix Force. We learn her powers grow stronger each time she uses them. So that's one of those things you're watching this for the first time, you got to take note of. It's very important. But what I loved about the Corsair Scott story is that you see in the way he leads, it's a lot like Scott. So you see that kind of passed down to Scott from him, where he tells his team if we fail, someone has to carry on the fight and not to wait for him. It's such a Cyclops type of moment. I also died laughing at the way Hepzibah awkwardly just kisses him before he leaves. That was so awkward, but really funny. And then Corsair to Cyclops says, "I come from your planet. We're so close to Earth now. I would have liked to seen it again." And he says, "I remember my oldest boy, he had his mother's eyes." Well, nothing you can do there with Cyclops and seeing those eyes, so bad luck there. Now, Jean detects Scott is on D'Ken's ship, So it sets up this final showdown, and right when Deken's about to grab the crystal, that's when Phoenix and the X-Men arrive, and it's the Imperial Guard. I love this character who saw her with the whip, and they're just throwing it around, and then Rogue will eventually get that whip. I thought that was great. Now, the X-Men retreat, at least try to, with the crystal to the Starjammer ship, but I love when Beast is holding the door for them to leave, and he says, "Our safety is our speed." Ralph Waldo Emerson. I love that he still has to quote the person who said it in that moment. And then a quick moment you have to catch, and it's the funniest moment of the episode, is then Wolverine goes to help Beast hold the door, and he's like, "I'll help Beast." And it falls further down, and Beast is just like, "It was the thought that counted." Great, great humor. They don't even need to throw in, but they do, and they land it. It's just so good. And it's great to see Corsair pick up Scott after he is hit. Still, neither of them knowing their relationship to each other. It's a nice moment when you know as the audience that it's dad and son there. But the big reveal here is that Deken has the crystal. He unlocks its powers, starts absorbing its powers, which makes him really strong. And while Phoenix tries to stop him, we learn she wasn't strong enough to do this yet. But the bigger problem she reveals isn't him getting these powers, it's the crystal just opening, and it might pull everyone in soon. So it's a great cliffhanger like this show is really, really good at. So gotta give this one another 9. I mean, the Wolverine lines are killer here. The Wolverine moments are great. The Beast moments are really funny, and Rogue has some really awesome moments as well. And Gambit had great action in the final showdown. It just keeps the momentum alive here for a 5-part episode streak, and it's really doing justice for the Phoenix Saga. So it really should be applauded, and also how well they make it again tangible for a kid's audience to understand what is going on from a more complicated comic book storyline, but keeps the strength. And I really like the story of Cyclops and his father, and it just adds a little more emotional weight to everything that is going on. It gets you very, very excited as a penultimate episode of a saga like this for what's going to happen next, because you know it's the final one, setting up Deken getting what he wanted. How will the X-Men and Phoenix respond? Let me know what you thought down below of the episode. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. Hit that sub button. This is a brand new X-Men channel. I can really use all the support I can get, and I'll see you next time.